You can't beat Aaron Blackford. Aaron Blackford is like the best book boyfriend ever. He's so stunning. I'm obsessed with him. Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be filming a part 2 to my fake dating book recommendations video. This was one of the first videos I filmed when I started like booktube stuff, and it was one of the first book recommendation videos I filmed, so it's not my best video, and I know everyone loves the fake dating trope. And so yeah, I wanted to film another part to that because I've read so many more fake dating books since that video, and fake dating is one of my favorite tropes. So I have a bunch more recs for you guys today. But first, before we get into the video, I have a couple things to say. So for starters, my hair is natural. I left my natural hair today because I didn't want to curl it. So yeah, it looks awful. But oh well, we're just gonna have to roll with it. It's about the books, not the hair, so it doesn't matter. And also, I wanted to thank you guys for 1,000 subscribers. I hit 1K this morning, which is literally insane. I just want to thank you guys. I love each and every single one of you, and I can't believe I hit 1K. Like, that's literally crazy. When I first started doing this like 6 years ago, I never thought I would get like 5 subscribers, let alone 1,000. And I know 1,000 might not seem like a lot to some people, but it's a lot to me, and it's crazy that I hit 1K. Like, that's literally insane. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys so much. And yeah, let's just go ahead and get into the recommendations. Okay, so I'm going to be including a few marriage of convenience recommendations in this video as well, just because I kind of count fake dating and marriage of convenience as very similar. They're pretty much the same thing, except in one they're married, but they're still fake dating, if that makes sense. So I do have 2 marriage of convenience recs in here as well, but other than that, the rest of them are all strictly like normal fake dating. On Honeymooners by Christina Lauren. This one I feel like so many people have read, and if you haven't, go read it. It's so good. So this follows Ethan and Olive, and basically they hate each other, so it's enemies to lovers. And she is the maid of honor at her sister's wedding, and her sister is marrying Ethan's brother, so he is the best man. And everyone eats from this buffet and gets food poisoning, and the only 2 people that don't eat from the buffet are Ethan and Olive, and they are the only ones that don't get food poisoning. So obviously the bride and groom have food poisoning, they can't go on their honeymoon, and their honeymoon is like all expenses paid, you can't transfer like the dates, you can't change the dates or anything, you have to go on these agents. Olive's sister says, hey, you need to go on this honeymoon, like I can't go, like you have to go, you have to take it. And Ethan's brother says the same thing, and so they both end up on this honeymoon. All the activities are all like pre-planned, they're all couple things, like it's a honeymoon, like they have to be together. So they have to pretend to be married and be the bride and the groom, and so they're on this honeymoon. They think that they're going to be able to avoid each other completely, but then there are a few things that happen that cause them to have more reason to fake date. And yeah, it kind of goes from there. It's super fun and funny, and this reads kind of like a movie, if that makes sense, and I believe this is becoming a movie too, but it reads like you're watching a movie, at least it did for me. But this book is just so good and so funny, and enemies to lovers, fake dating, literally stunning, and I'm obsessed with this book. So the next recommendation that I have for you guys today is The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This one follows Nathan and Bree, and basically Nathan and Bree are both in love with each other, but the other one thinks that the other one doesn't reciprocate the feelings, as friends to lovers goes, and so they both go around hiding their feelings for each other, even though they're secretly pining after the other one. And so one night Bree gets drunk. She ends up spilling all the details of her being in love with her best friend Nathan, and Nathan is actually a famous footballer, so this reporter like is loving this knowledge, and then everyone becomes obsessed with them as a couple and really wants them to, you know, be together. And so Nathan's like manager or whatever decides that they should fake date, and obviously this is kind of an ideal situation in a way for both of them, because they both are, you know, secretly in love with one another. She is super hesitant because she doesn't want to ruin the friendship. She really doesn't think that Nathan even likes her, but Nathan does, of course, and so he comes up with this cheat sheet of things to do to make her fall in love with him, or admit the feelings that she has for him, and it's super cute and super fun, and I really enjoyed this one, so I definitely recommend it if you're looking for a fun friends to lovers fake dating book. The next book I have is one I hope not many people have heard of, or at least don't know is fake dating, because I didn't know it was fake dating before I read this book, and that is Redeemed by Lauren Asher. This is the 4th book in the Dirty Air series, a series of romance books about F1 races, and this one is about Santiago and Chloe, and this is definitely my favorite. It has amazing disability rep in it, and I'd never read a book that had this specific like disability represented in it, so it was really interesting to read, and I love that it was represented in this book. And so basically Santiago is in this accident that causes him to be unable to race anymore, and so he goes into this really big depression. He is super sad, he isolates himself from his family, his friends, and becomes this completely different person. He lives completely alone and isolated from everyone and is not really doing anything with his life. Chloe she didn't have a very good upbringing, and she's kind of been through a lot, and she's looking for her dad, and she ends up doing this DNA test thing and finding her dad in the country that Santiago lives in. I believe it's Italy, but I could be wrong. And so she ends up flying over there, and Santiago actually lives next door, and so there's this whole situation with her like breaking into his house, and he thinks that she's some like crazed fan and whatever, and then Santiago's sister comes over and he ends up telling them that Chloe is his girlfriend, and so he convinces Chloe to start a fake relationship with him to convince his family that he's like okay and doing a lot better, and you know, obviously fake love's gonna turn into real love. They start building this connection and falling for one another for real, and yeah, this one's really good. I'm obsessed. The next book I have is one that I feel like everyone's read and everyone's heard of, but it's my favorite book in this video and one of my favorite books of all time, and that is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. I don't know how to say her name, but this book is so good, and if you haven't read it, literally what are you doing? Go read it right now. It's very comparable to The Hating Game in everyone's eyes, and everyone says that The Hating Game is so much better, but personally I think that The Spanish Love Deception is better. You can't beat Aaron Blackford. Aaron Blackford is like the best book boyfriend ever. He's so stunning. I'm obsessed with him. And so this one is about Catalina and Aaron, and they work together and they absolutely hate each other. And so Catalina is talking to her best friend about how she needs a fake date for this wedding, for her sister's wedding in Spain, because she's told that her family that she has a boyfriend, and who's like from America, and like he's great and whatever, because she finds out that her ex-boyfriend is going to be at the wedding, and so she's like, I can't show up alone, like I can't face him like that, like I need someone to, like I need to tell my family I have a boyfriend. And so she needs someone to be her fake boyfriend to come to Spain with her, and Aaron literally hears this and he volunteers. He's like, hey, like I'll be your boyfriend. And Catalina's like, are you joking? Like, are you serious? Like, surely not. Like, we don't like each other. Why would you want to be my fake boyfriend for this? Like, why would you want to help me? Like, no. And Aaron is very persuasive. He kind of pushes it and he's like, you know, like I'll do it, like come on. And then so he ends up thinking of this deal. He's like, okay, look, I need a fake date to this, and if you do this for me, then I'll do this for you. And so they strike this deal, and he ends up going to Spain with her, being her fake boyfriend. His love language is definitely physical touch. It's literally so good. He finds any excuse just to like brush her arm, or like, you know, like hold her, hug her, like, you know, obviously they've got to be affectionate, they're dating. And so yeah, things kind of go from there. It's slow burn, and obviously slowly fake love does turn into real love, and it's literally stunning. I'm obsessed with this book. Aaron is everything. The things he does for Catalina, oh my goodness, I'm obsessed. And this book is just so good, and if you haven't read it, you absolutely need to. It's the best. The next book that I have to recommend to you guys today is Real Players Never Lose by Michaela Smeltzer. I honestly always butcher her last name. Like, I never know how to say her name. But this book is, of course, a fake dating. It follows Teddy and Vanessa, and basically Teddy needs a fake girlfriend to convince his family that his partying days are over, that he's gonna focus on his schooling and he has a stable girlfriend and everything like that. And so he ends up running into Vanessa and he's like, hey, will you be my fake girlfriend? And Vanessa's really confused at first. She's like, why would you want to pretend to date me when you could have literally any girl on campus? Like, why would you want me, a nobody who you've literally never spoken to before? But Teddy has this feeling about her that he's like, I just want you to be my fake girlfriend. And he ends up promising her that he'll pay for her tuition for the year because she's really struggling money-wise, and so they strike up this deal and she agrees to be his fake girlfriend, and so they start fake dating, and you know, obviously they've got to be around each other a lot and go to all these family events for Teddy's family. And this book is literally just so good and so like fast-paced, easy to read, and just so fun, and I absolutely love this book. The next book that I have is Ruthless Night by Ashley Jade. This is actually the second book in a series, and you kind of need to read the first one first, but you can read it on its own. I read it on its own. Like, I read this one first before I read the first book and I was fine, but it is a little confusing, so you probably should read the first book, but this one's my favorite. So yeah, I'm obsessed with this book, and it is fake dating, of course, fake dating enemies to lovers. The fake dating aspect of this book, I'm not gonna lie, is not that big of a thing. Like, it's not the like main plot point of the book. There's so much other stuff that goes on, and this book is so much more than just the fake dating aspect. So yeah, basically Cole and Sawyer do not like each other. This thing that happened one night, and Sawyer is very hated throughout the school. She gets bullied a lot, she's a nerd, she's known as like the church girl, and no one likes her. But she and Cole kind of have this connection, but then it all kind of goes wrong after he does something, and yeah, he ends up needing her to be his fake girlfriend. And obviously Sawyer does not want to agree to this at all because she doesn't like him after all these things that he said about her, and she doesn't want anything to do with him. But he ends up convincing her, and they start fake dating, and fake love does turn into real love. And you know, I can't really say much more than that. I don't want to spoil anything, but there's so much more that goes on in this book. Both of these characters are so like broken and going through so much. Definitely look up the trigger warnings. There is a lot of triggering topics spoken about in this book. And poor Cole, honestly, he's been through so much in his past as well, and like this series is just so good. It's part of the Royal Hearts Academy series. It's one of my favorite series of all time, and I definitely recommend every book in this series, but this one is fake dating, and yeah, it's my favorite of the series. It's just so good. The next two books I have are both Marriage of Convenience. So the first one is Marriage for One by Ella Mays. This book is so good, and this follows Jack and Rose, and basically Rose, to be able to inherit this property to make her coffee shop that her like uncle or whatever left her, she needs to be married. And she was engaged, and then her fiance broke up with her really suddenly, and so she doesn't really know what she's gonna do. She goes to see the lawyer, and she ends up running into Jack, and Jack is a lawyer who works at the same like law firm that her uncle's lawyer did, and he brings her into his office and says, hey, like, I know you need a husband to get like what you need, and I'm offering to marry you even though we don't know each other, so that you can inherit this property, because he wants like the room above it or something or whatever, and he's like, I'll give it to you for 3 years, and like you build up your coffee shop, and then like you can like pay me rent, whatever. Like, it's a whole complicated situation. Rose is super confused. She's like, why would this guy who I've literally never met before offer to marry me so that I can get the property? Like, she's really confused. She doesn't really understand. She does end up agreeing. They get married, they move in together, obviously living in separate rooms, and it's fake dating, and she, you know, works on her coffee shop, and he ends up going in there all the time and always finds these ways to help her even though no one's around. He doesn't really need to be acting like her husband, but he's doing it anyway because he just wants to help her. And this one is slow burn, but it's so good. The way he is with her is so sweet, and it's definitely Grumpy Sunshine. And I'm literally just obsessed with this book, and while it is Marriage of Convenience, it's definitely obviously still fake dating. The next book is To Love Jasonthorne, also by Ella Mays, and I recently read this one and it's phenomenal. So this follows Jason and Olive, and they are childhood friends kind of. he's her brother's best friend when they were growing up, and so she was always like in love with him when they were younger, and she was like, this is the man I'm gonna marry. And obviously Jason is a few years older and like didn't really think of her that way. Then something ends up happening and he ends up leaving, and they haven't seen each other for literally years. And Olive ends up writing this book, becoming an author, and this book that she's written gets made into a movie. And guess who the lead actor is going to be? None other than Jasonthorne, her childhood crush. Jason has a really bad reputation in the media. He sleeps around a lot, and so he needs something to clean up his reputation. And so his like manager and stuff is like, hey, you need to fake marry someone, and they need to move in with you, and you need to pretend to be, you know, settled down so that you can keep this role in this movie. And so he doesn't want to marry some random person, some random model or actress or whatever. And so he's like, hey, I have a person that I can fake marry, and that is Olive. And Olive is super hesitant because she doesn't really want to be with Jason if it isn't real. And so eventually she does agree, they get married, they move in together, things start happening between them, and it's just so good, and there's so much other stuff that like goes on, and it's phenomenal, and I'm obsessed. And the last two books that I'm just going to briefly mention are the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie and The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I have not read The Love Hypothesis yet. It's on my TBR. Obviously I have it. I'm going to read it, but it is fake dating. But I know literally everyone has read this book, but I just wanted to mention it briefly if you haven't read it, and you guys should definitely read it. I've heard really good things, and obviously it went viral on TikTok as this annoying thing says that I can't take off. And then also the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Everyone's pretty much heard of this series, but I wanted to mention it really quick if you hadn't. This, basically only the first book is fake dating, but there are 5 books about Lily and Lo, the couple that this one's about. And so Lily is a sex addict, Lo is an alcoholic, and they are fake dating each other to hide their addictions from their families. It's childhood friends to lovers, fake dating, of course. And yeah, I just wanted to briefly mention those two just in case you hadn't heard of or read either of those. But pretty much everyone has, so I'm not going to go in depth. That is all the book recs that I have for you guys today. I hope at least one of these books you haven't read and you got at least one recommendation out of it. If you guys have any other fake dating recommendations, leave them in the comments below because I'm always looking for good fake dating books. One of my favorite tropes of all time. I love it. So if you guys have any other fake dating recs, definitely let me know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.